Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. I'm so glad you're here and you take time to listen into the podcast and now watch the podcast on YouTube. So if you're watching it on YouTube, please subscribe, rate, help us grow the channel. And for listeners who've been listening all along, you have helped us become rated in the top 5% of all podcasts globally, according to Listen Notes. So thank you for that. We appreciate you. And thank you for being here today. All right. And today I'm talking with Shanita Liu. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Shanita. She is what she likes to say first is she's the mom of three warriors. And I'm sure she'll tell you more about that later. But she's a TEDx speaker, author of the book Dear Durga, and she's a Fulbright Scholar, a certified life coach. She has so many skills she'll tell you about, but I'll just tell you a couple more. She's an award-winning writer, and she's contributed to various platforms, including Forbes Women, Thrive Global, and Brown Girl Magazine. Welcome, Shanita Liu.
Thank you, Robin. It's an honor to be here.
This is me welcoming you.
Love it. I receive it.
All right. So now you heard me just say a little bit, I just read a little bit about you. So why don't tell us in your own words about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, it's funny because the answer to that question has evolved so much as I've evolved so much. Started off, I was in the nonprofit sector for about a decade, but transitioned to a life coach when I was sobbing on the New York City subway and my life was falling apart in 2015. And in the toxic job, trying to figure out where am I going. And in 2015, I realized like I can't do this anymore. Something's got to give. And I had connected with a life coach and she did a visualization with me. She asked me to tune into my heart. And the minute I did, I connected with a warrior goddess named Durga. Durga Ma is this goddess who represents courage, strength, power. In fact, I've got this like little image, postcard image here from the original image that I have. So if you could see her in the front, she's
Yeah.
got all these arms. She's throwing down. She slays all day. And she pops up and she tells me three things that changed my life. She was like, I got your back. You're more than enough. And you are not alone. And I remember it brought me to tears. And it was a catalyst for what ended up taking place in 2015, which was quit the job, did a life coaching certification, started my own practice, all the while very pregnant with my first child, moving. There was every life change you can imagine. And my coaching practice originally started with me connecting primarily with women and focusing on beating burnout. And 9 years ago, self-care was still like a buzzword, and the World Health Organization finally figured out that burnout was a problem, and then they had to name it an epidemic. And I'm like, really, y'all? Like now you figure that out? And so people were taking that a lot more seriously. And because I was the queen of burnout, I thought, who better than me to talk and coach about this? And what ended up shifting for me was I was still talking about it, but I realized that what gets in the way of us taking care of ourselves, especially as high achieving women, is fear of filling in the blank. And so that's where I shifted my message more from beating burnout to activating courage. How do I call in my courage to check fear when it's trying to derail me? All day, every day, telling me, why are you taking a moment to breathe right now? Why are you taking a walk outside when you could be checking 6 more emails? And by connecting with my courage, who showed up as this metaphor of Durga Ma, I stayed in touch with her. And she was the energy inside of me that was like, no, you're going to sit down. No, you're going to take more off your plate. No, you're going to be a demonstration to your children and show them that, yes, you can do what you love and you can have a family and you don't have to burn yourself out every minute of the day doing it. And so I've been on this sort of wild ride in the last 9 years, and I am a coach by training. I do coach clients, but I also am a energy healer. I give Reiki. I do very intense energy healing work and modalities. I consider myself a mystic, And now, especially with the book being out for about a year, I definitely have been sitting into my storyteller hat a little bit more. And I've been telling my story of courage to whoever's open to hearing it.
Yes, yes, and you have a real powerful story to tell. And and I know you were giving us the broad view, but you went
Yeah.
more quickly about the story in the subway. So now let's go back a little bit. All right, so let's walk back a little bit because I'm guessing there might be somebody who's listening who's feeling the way you felt then. And your story may be an inspiration to them. So let's just take a moment and go back to let's talk about what you were doing and why it was such a burden for you and what was causing you the burnout. And then we'll take it from there. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. There's a term I use called cultural conditioning, which I feel like was a lot of what contributed to me being this high achieving, people pleasing, box checking perfectionist. And those were mindsets and behaviors that I carried through in the workplace. And then working in the nonprofit sector, I wasn't making a ton to begin with, and feeling overworked and undervalued and underpaid. It was starting to take a toll on me. And I was giving and giving and giving and giving. And I was like, okay, I like physically and emotionally and mentally cannot take this anymore. And I think it, like when many people hit their breaking point, right? There is finally this day or moment that comes where enough is enough is enough. We're either going to change this and make a different choice or not. And there's going to be a cost. There's a cost to everything, right? There's a cost to not taking action. And so I was so lucky to have been exploring coaching as something that I thought I could maybe teach the college students I was working with, only to realize I actually needed all that coaching for me. And so that was really what set me on my healing journey. I had worked with a therapist years prior, but I'd never worked with a coach. And so the premise in the coaching work I do is that I'm whole and resourceful and I have everything inside of me, but sometimes I just need the guidance to help me get there, to really um, you know, clean out the clutter, remove what's not serving me, and call in my courage to do what makes sense. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of what I think ended up being sort of the catalyst for me making different choices and then being on the path that I'm on now.
Yes, yes. Because I'm imagining there might be someone who's on a job where they're having this sense of being burned out. Not necessarily that they're going to be called to coaching or to doing something else,
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. But so what did you know about coaching while you were at the job and you thought one had it already been, because oftentimes when we're in a situation where we know it's not the best for us, we know longer than the time that we make the decision. And sometimes we have an idea about what we might want to do next or what we wish we could do next or do differently. Was that the case for you, or did that come afterwards? So did you already have something like, one day I'm going to be out of here and I'm going to do this something else?
I definitely had no grand plan of what I was going to do. I think I was always escaping to the next job, hoping for better. Um, I thought I stumbled on coaching because I was just interested in it, not realizing it would be the ultimate modality to sort of change my life. I had seen the red flags for years, Robin. I believe that one of the things that I learned to do very early on in my life was to not listen to my intuition and to question my every move because I couldn't possibly be right or do what feels right for me, and that I needed someone's permission or approval always. Um, so luckily, coaching became a modality through which I learned, oh, here's this intuition thing. I've always had it and it's important. Now we live in an age where you can go on social media and you can see any given day there's a meme about your intuition is your superpower, take your breaks, protect your mental health. There was no messaging like that for me when I was in the workforce. So I think I was lucky that coaching is where I was able to snag that gem and go, okay, now that I know that part, I can work with that. And that was sort of what kind of helped me get to the rest of the other things.
Okay, okay. All right, so now tell us about the book. Tell us again the title and then tell us the main premise of the book.
Yes, so the book is this bright yellow book. It's called Dear Durga, A Mom's Guide to Activate Courage and Emerge Victorious. It is not just for moms, it is for women, it's for anybody who is looking to boost their courage. But in the publishing industry, they very highly encourage you to pick a niche. So that's how I ended up, but putting the moms as a subtitle. But I am also a mom of three, so a lot of my lived experience in the last 9 years is in there. The book is it's simple. It's like, hey, fear is everywhere. What can you do today in this hour to activate your courage, keep it alive, and emerge victorious? And when I say victorious, I don't just mean triumphant. The definition of the word also means to be fulfilled. And I thought, ooh, I really like that, because every time I come up against the word success, it is laden with all kinds of like benchmarks and like connotations. And I was like, I'm going to scratch that out and I'm going to go to victorious. Can I ask myself at the end of every day, did I feel victorious today? Was there one thing that I did that helped me feel like, helped my soul feel fulfilled? And the
Mm.
reason why courage is important is because fear will try to tell you otherwise. It will discourage you. It will take away your courage and say, no, 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 you shouldn't be doing that. Who do you think you are? Whereas courage is going to be like, do you, you know?
Yes, yes. And so now you are victorious and you have courage. Do you
I'm trying to
feel?
be.
Well, I'm guessing you probably have at least moments of courage, right? Moments of
I do.
courage.
I do.
Okay, okay. Got to count the moments too. Do you feel like you have a sense of purpose in your work now that you moved from the job and you're doing this other work, helping women with courage and being victorious?
Absolutely. And I feel like I have a couple of purposes. I think one purpose is to be a mother to these three souls in my life. And the other purpose is to support people with helping them become courageous and emerge victorious and live victorious lives. I believe we all deserve to do that. And um, I also believe that those two purposes are intertwined because I have to be a demonstration of that. I have to be a demonstration of that to my kids. I can't just go, hey, person, look, I'm going to help you activate courage and then be scaredy cat over here. Like I really need to walk my talk.
Yeah, nothing like kids that will help you do that.
The mirror, the
All right.
mirror that they hold.
So you said you have those two purposes. So it's is it important to you have purpose? Was it important to you like when you, I don't know if you had it or not when you were experiencing that burnout? Did you have a sense of purpose in your work then? Um, you
Yeah,
did. Okay.
absolutely. I was in the nonprofit and education space because I worked for mission-driven organizations. And so it was having that mission statement that no matter how tired I was, no matter how underpaid I was, it was like, okay, well, it's about the kids. It's about
Mm.
graduating college. It's about like all of the different missions that I did work for, but at some point I could not keep up. It was costing me my mental health, and I had to make a choice in order to protect that.
Well, good for you for taking care of yourself in that regard. Now, is there any part of what you're doing now, let's say the book, is there any part of the book that reflects a part of who you are?
I love this question. So when I was writing the book, Ma, or I call her Ma Zorga, really encouraged me to be me. And I was kind of like, no, 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 but I'm supposed to be an author and I'm supposed to be super polished. And she was like, no, if you wanna put in a rap song, go put in a rap song. And so I actually have a rap song about courage. I have two rap songs in the book, but one is about courage, and it's not only what I believe about what courage is, but when I get to rap the song, I feel like I just get to be me.
Good for you. Good for
Yeah.
you. And so it sounds like to me you're expressing the part of you that's that performer, because we were talking earlier and you were talking about your performance experience. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. I've always liked to dance, but growing up low income, my mom wasn't able to enroll me in dance classes growing up, so I didn't really start doing any kind of performance movement until high school. I was on a drill team, so I did step there. And then in college, I was part of a multicultural dance troupe. And then in adulthood, um, one of the ways I de-stressed from all of those very taxing jobs was I started taking salsa classes, and I fell so in love with it that I ended up joining a semi-pro and then a pro team. And so I was doing, I was helping college students by day, like performing salsa at night. And so it was awesome. And it was just this part of my life I cherish, but I've always loved being in front of people, connecting with people. And now I'm getting to do that with the coaching and the courage work.
Yes. And the reason why I like to highlight that, because oftentimes there's something in our past that we were really drawn to and really had a love for. It might not be the same thing, like in your case, is expressing yourself, right? A performative expression, such that you brought it out in your book, in your rap, you're expressing yourself. So I hope people are inspired as they're listening to you to think about things from their past that really spark them, that might be able to be expressed today in a new way. So I
I
love
love
it.
that you
I love that.
said that, Robin, because I had my dance coach actually. He was a mentor to me, and he kept telling me, I was like, what am I going to do after the salsa thing? He was like, it's all going to come together. You don't understand. You're going to be doing it all, Shanita. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like scratching my head. I'm like, does he know what he's talking about? I'm leaving this. And then now as a coach, it's like, no, like now I get to tell young people about my courage, and I do get to express myself. And so you're right, like nothing is in vain. Everything comes together in the end. It just takes a little bit of time and some rerouting, but hey,
Yeah.
that's life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like connecting the dots of life. And soon enough, you'll have a picture and you'll see it. But you just connect one dot to the next. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So now the podcast is for high achieving women.
Mhm.
And this is my definition of high achieving women. Women who are responsible, goal oriented, um, ambitious, good at a couple things. People in their work and careers come to them and ask them for questions. It might not be related to what their role is, their expertise, but they're the one that people come to. At home, they're the one that people come to, either or both of those places. And so they tend to be supporting people all the time. So I thought, well, who supports them while they're supporting everybody else? So I thought, okay, on the podcast, we'll talk to each other and we'll support each other. So you are now part of this conversation, which I am so grateful. All right. So now, given that, what's some word of advice from your professional life, your personal life, from past, present? What's some word of advice you would give, tip, tool, resource to the high achieving woman that I just described? The one that is doing all the things and supporting everybody else.
My advice would be to connect with your courage. And I have a courage activation exercise in the book and also on my webpage that it's really simple, but it's tuning into that dynamic energy inside of you, very similar to your intuition that has all of this wisdom. And so, for example, I am an overambitious Sagittarian. And especially when I became a mom, I was like, I'm not going to let this derail me. I'm going to try to do everything while doing everything over here. And in the end, my courage was actually the resource that said, no, you're not going to do that. And I was like, but I want to, but I can't because I have shiny new object syndrome. Come on. All the other coaches are doing it. Please, please, I want to do it. Like I sound like a little kid pleading with Durga, but Durga's like, no, you're either you don't have to do that now, you're not doing it yet, keyword yet, or that's not for you. And so the desire, the burning desire to serve and to do all the things, I really had to call on my courage to quell that and not squash my dreams per se or not keep my vision alive. It's not about that. It's just more about pacing myself. She reminds me that I am not the hare, I'm the tortoise. In the end, I will taste that sweet ultimate victory. But right now, I can still be victorious in those little action transformational steps that I take over time. And so, for anyone out there where you already have so much on your plate, tune in because that wisdom inside of you is going to let you know whether or not you should fall back on this, or if maybe that is the thing you should go after, even if you didn't think that you needed to go after it. Like with this book, Robin, I thought one day I'd write a book. I'm a writer. But in 2021, after having my third kid and another identity crisis in a pandemic, she was like, "You want to write it now?" And I was like, "What? What are you talking about? I can't do anything like that." She's like, "Nope, you're going to do it. You're going to enter this Hay House writing workshop. You're going to learn how to write it. And then you're going to enter their writing contest and you're going to win." And I was like, "Are you nuts? Like, this is my courage talking to me." And she was like, "Everything else can wait. You don't have to serve these clients, or you don't have to do this thing. This is your priority and you're going to do it now." I was like, I don't want to play with the goddess riding on the tiger. And so I did what she said, and I won the runner-up prize, which was how I was able to secure Balboa Press to help me publish the book. And so it's interesting because even when you think you're not ready, or it does not fall in your grand timeline of things, take the timeline and throw it in the trash, because you just never know. You just never know what's going to happen. So your courage will really help you in your own discernment of like what makes sense for you next.
Yes, yes. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I have a book that's coming out this year, published by Balboa Press. I didn't enter the contest, but good for you. And
Congrats.
you rank so high. I'm so proud of you for doing that, because I know it's no easy feat. All right. So you've been so generous with your time. I know you have lots of things to do, but is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you want to share before you tell people how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I ended up writing a second book. But I did not hit publish on Amazon. In fact, I'm actually giving it away for free. So if anyone is listening, I wrote this book called, I just have the printed out copy. It's an e-format right now. It's called Victorious Me, Daily Activities to Become Your Most Courageous and Fulfilled Self. So basically, it's a companion guide to Dear Durga. I'm basically taking the self-help exercises that are at the end of each chapter. I'm extracting them and I'm putting them in a very like friendly, interactive sort of workbook format. I don't want to call it workbook though, because it's not work. It's fun. I'm activating my courage. And so I have an e-version of it that I'm happy World Book Day, by the way. Today is World Book Day. So I'm giving it away for free to my book community. But anyone who is interested in a copy of it, just email me at sl@coachshanita.com. But yeah, I wrote the second book because I felt called to create something that would help one actually apply and integrate, because I read a lot of self-help books. This is my industry, and often I'm like, wow, these are amazing suggestions, and then I won't get to them for whatever reason. And so the purpose of the Victorious Me is to do just that. Like, let's do it. Let's roll up our sleeves. Let's activate our courage, and let's be really intentional about it. Let's create a cadence for it.
Yes, yes. That's generous of you. And I love that title, Victorious Me. Victorious Me. All right, Coach Shanita Liu, was so happy. I'm so happy to have you here today and share your wisdom. Take time out of your 3 warriors and all the other things that you're doing to be here with us. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Robin.
Okay, and everyone, if you want to hear more from me, I'd love to hear your response to today's episode. It would be great. You can contact me. You could send me an email, Robin@leadershippurposepodcast.com, Robin@leadershippurposepodcast.com, or you can go to the podcast website and get more resources there, leadershippurposepodcast.com, leadershippurposepodcast.com. And until next time, this is Dr. Robin.